On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, Jamal Shead plays the hero for the number one team in the country, Houston, on the road in Norman. Great game, great basketball game. Shead hits a game winner. Did he solidify his All-American status? I think he may have. Houston is rolling. Meanwhile, over the weekend, Creighton knocks off shorthanded Marquette. No Kolick, no Iguodaro for Marquette. I saw Kolick's out for a while now, which is a massive bummer. Reigning Big East Player of the Year. And the UConn Huskies have now clinched the outright Big East title. It is the first outright conference championship for UConn since 1999. Yes, you heard that correctly. UConn has won 5 national championships since they last won an outright conference championship, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, Creighton gets a big win. Baylor Scheierman was awesome. I want to talk about him at some point during the show because he's just incredible. He's a cool ass white boy is what he is. Also, the Buckeyes are back. I mean, we're back, and I cannot believe there was ever a time when I tried to say I was done with this team. I mean, we are so fucking back. It's disgusting. We beat Michigan like we were in a handshake line and they touched our elbow. I mean, that's how badly we beat the Wolverines. Jake Diebler's 4-1. Everything's coming up Buckeyes right now, except for on the women's side. Caitlin Clark is a villain. She might be a villain in my life. I don't know. I'm really confused because Cody breaks the news to me during the last show that she's going to the WNBA draft and she's going to play for my Fever. So I was excited about that, and then I'm watching her play Ohio State, losing my fucking mind over some of these calls. Anyway, congratulations to Caitlin Clark. We might talk about that a little bit, but the big win in college basketball this week, from my perspective, was the Tennessee Volunteers going to Tuscaloosa, beating Alabama, coming back to beat Alabama in a game where it was for the SEC driver's seat. The winner would be in the driver's seat. Tennessee wins the game. They are now, as I said, in the driver's seat. If they win out, they will win the regular season SEC championship outright. And this, for those of you that have been listening all season, I find the SEC to be the most entertaining league probably. It's either SEC or Big East. I go back and forth, but I think the SEC is more fun, to be completely honest. I think it's the most fun league. It's a very competitive league. I think it's gotten way better. Missouri stinks this year, and there's some bad teams, but by and large, from top to almost bottom, it is a very deep league, and a very fun league with great players, great coaches, everything else. And Tennessee is in position to win it. Now they still have to beat South Carolina. They still have to beat Kentucky, 2 very good teams. So let's not crown them too early. But they are in the driver's seat, like I said, and because of that, a long overdue conversation was had today on the podcast with Big T, the resident Tennessee fan here at Barstool Sports, who I have been talking to off air like crazy about Dalton Knecht. Like every time I see him, he and I just stop in the hallway and talk about Dalton Knecht. And I said, you got to come on the show at some point. We got to talk about Dalton Knecht and these Vols. We finally made it happen. Knecht wasn't otherworldly against Alabama, but he didn't need to be. And that's okay. But this Tennessee team is rolling. I've thought highly of them all season, and I continue to think highly of them. And I thought, why not have Big T on the show and finally have the conversation that we've been having off air? And so we did that. And for those of you who most of the audience is well versed in Barstool, characters and lore and all that sort of thing, and I understand that. But there are a handful of you who are not, and I just want to give a fair warning that Big T is out of his fucking mind. Like, Big T is as insane about Tennessee as anybody is about anything, and that's why we love him. I was laughing so hard multiple times during this interview, and he is just stone-faced, matter-of-fact, like, no, when I said there was a conspiracy to keep Tennessee down, it's very, very true. Look it up, and I don't know. The guy is unbelievable, and that's what made college sports great. Guys like him. If every school had had fans like Big T is with Tennessee, it would make the sport even better, and a lot of them do, and Big T is insane about his Vols. So anyway, without further ado, enjoy the conversation about Dalton Knecht, the Vols. We'll talk about some other stuff after the interview with Big T, but this is the man himself, Big Tennessee. All right, Big T is here. This is long overdue. You got your Dalton Knecht shirt on. You got your Tennessee hat on. You dress like this
The shirt is a little more than I would do for a normal day, but yeah, most days.
Most days. So the Vols go to Tuscaloosa in a matchup of two teams. You guys were tied for first place, technically, going into the game, right?
Yeah.
Winners in the driver's seat of the SEC regular season. Tennessee wins the game. Dalton Knecht, who I want to talk to you about, obviously, doesn't have an awesome game, but that like weirdly makes me trust Tennessee more because of the balanced scoring.
I liked that.
Yeah. So I just want, before we dive too far into it, just give me your overarching thoughts on this Tennessee team, what it's like to be a Tennessee basketball fan right now, Dalton Knecht, all of it. Just your opening statement on Tennessee basketball in March of 2024.
Dalton Knecht is, maybe you can help me with this. I can't speak to Bernard King or Allen Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from those two guys, he's the best Tennessee player I've ever seen.
Yeah, who else?
Like Chris Lofton, incredible shooter.
Yeah,
but like Knecht is better than him. Grant Williams, awesome player. He's definitely better than him. And it's also like he's electric. Like I never was like I get to watch Grant Williams tonight.
Yeah.
Like I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
I was texting some of my friends. I was like, I'm going to the Kentucky game this weekend, and I was like, if we make it to Sunday of the SEC tournament, like I have to come. Like we only have 4 guaranteed games of Dalton Knecht left ever. Obviously, it's going to be more than that. But we have a guaranteed 4, and I have to see as many as I can because he's so awesome.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe the production. I mean, he is the. I'm trying to think it through of who else would even be in the mix. Chris Lofton was so good, but
awesome.
But you're right, like the vibes of watching Dalton Knecht. It's not just that he scores; it's like how effortless it looks. He's unguardable, and the way he takes a double team is coming at him, and he throws it out of the double team, and there's just like a wrinkle to watching him that, frankly, and I say this lovingly and respectfully, is not supposed to exist on a Tennessee basketball team. Like you're not supposed to.
Well, that's disrespectful. No, that is disrespectful. What does that mean?
It means Tennessee is
Why
not.
Why can't we be good?
You said it yourself. You're not a school that's pumping out like top tier talent.
I mean,
like
over
crazy.
the last few years, we've had really good players.
You haven't had electric, like turn on the TV.
Correct.
Call your
Correct.
friends type
Knecht
guys.
is the best out of
That's
them.
what I'm saying. This is a foreign thing. Like the last guy, because Schofield and Williams were like a 2-man thing. Where
Admiral was closer to Knecht in the sense of like, I feel privileged to have been able to watch him than Grant.
Yeah.
Grant was really, really good, but like boring almost.
Yeah, he was just fundamental, like hitting high post shots.
Admiral was electric.
Yeah, Admiral. I was at the Gonzaga game in Phoenix.
Oh, that game was awesome.
And Admiral Schofield went bananas.
That's probably our best win under Barnes.
Yeah.
This Bama game was top 3 or 4 probably.
Walk me through the emotions of the Bama game because Bama was up, obviously. You guys closed late. But now that March is here and we all college basketball fans just become a mess watching their teams, did you feel more confidence? Did you feel like, shit, here we go again, we're gonna screw this up and not win the SEC? Like what is the feeling as you're watching this team? And like, it wasn't, I don't want to say it was a blowout, but like Bama felt like they were sort of in control there for a little bit.
Yeah, I was never. It would have really sucked if we lost that game and like lost the SEC because we're better than them. It was clear the whole game we were better than them, and they just. I was telling you this before we started recording. It's so frustrating watching having your team play Alabama because just every shot they make is 3 points. So you're up 12 and you look up and now it's 5 or 4.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Every bad team in the country should play like that. Shoot only threes. But
you're also never out of it because when Bama's up 15,
their defense is atrocious.
Their defense is atrocious, and they will shoot if they're not hitting threes, you can get right back into it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, we did not play particularly well. Knecht wasn't awesome. It looked like it was going to be a Jordan Gainey legacy game for a little bit, and then he cooled off precipitously. I have some friends who hate Jordan Gainey.
Yeah.
And I texted them in the first 10 minutes. I was like, if Jordan Gainey beats Bama on the road, I will be talking about this when we are 60.
He feels like a guy that you let him shoot 1 or 2 once he checks in, and then if he misses, just pull him out. And,
I think he's a
like
really good player. And
you love him.
I think he's a very good backup point guard, and he gets a lot of hate.
I think Well, I think where the hate comes from is like him and Knecht were brought in to like revolutionize the offense, and Dalton Knecht has done that, and Gainey is shooting like 28% from the 3-point line.
But when your starting point guard is Zakai Ziegler, who's one of the best point guards in the country, and your backup is Jordan Gainey,
that's a good spot.
Fine.
You're right.
More than fine.
You're right. That's a good spot. Yeah, Knecht is he's my favorite player in the country this year, and he's going to be a first-team All-American. And I wish there was a way. I said this to Jim Root, one of the he does like 3-man weave stuff. He was on the last show I did, and I said this to him that if this was college football and we were voting on the Heisman, I think Dalton Knecht would have a shot at winning it. But just based off of like vibes and how fun he is, and that whole like the aura of him, whereas Zach Edey is just like a running back that's averaging like 4.5 yards a carry, which is like technically good. We're not saying it's not, but it's like, what is this highlight reel really? You know, I feel like college football is better at like, listen, that guy might have better production, but like this guy has completely revolutionized this team. Their offense has been dog shit for the last few years. They bring him in the snap of a finger, the offense is incredible. He is, as I said earlier, he's the one guy that like when he's going off, you have to get to a television if you're not watching the game. He's the most electric guy in college basketball, and I feel like that should matter, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to.
Okay, so I have two things on that. Number one, that does happen in football. That's how Devontae Smith won the Heisman. Is through like October and November, people are like, well, if it actually went to the best player, it'd be Devontae Smith, because it looked like it was going to be Mac Jones and maybe somebody else, and they're like, well, Mac Jones would win it because of Devontae Smith, and then he ended up winning it. Why is Zach Edey going to win National Player of the Year?
His production is just undeniable, and that's really it. It really boils down to like Purdue as a team is is going to be a 1 seed, and he just his average, like every game he's putting up like 25.
Okay,
and 12,
so tell me what he does better than Dalton Knecht.
Don't make me argue for Zach.
You know what? I'll answer he's a better free throw shooter.
Yeah.
For his size, he's an elite free throw shooter. I will give him that. What else does he do better?
He camps out in the paint and shoots baby hooks over shorter defenders better.
Yeah, and Dalton Knecht is like the best 3-level scorer in the country by a significant margin.
Yeah,
and is electric and has taken a team that like every year people are like, oh well, they can't score, and now we score 90 points a game, and we're like, oh, and he's won it before.
Yeah.
Which you would think would make people less likely to vote for him, and it doesn't seem like that's the case.
I know. That's the other thing with football is like football, you win a Heisman and you come back the next year.
Very hard to do it.
It's almost impossible. You can put up the exact same numbers and everyone's like, well, whatever. We've already seen this before. Zach Edey locked up National Player of the Year, I feel like, in Maui. When Purdue won the Maui Invitational, was like, all right, well, Zach Edey's going to win National Player of the Year. It's done and dusted.
By the way, I assume you watched Purdue, Tennessee when we played them. Mm-hmm. The worst officiated basketball game maybe in the history of the sport. Close second was when we played Arizona in Tucson last year. I would kill to play them again. I'm dying to play them.
Arizona, the Arizona game, though, if I remember right, that was just revenge for the game in Knoxville.
No, that's bullshit.
Because the game in Knoxville was horseshit, too.
No, that's bullshit. That was fake news. I'll pull the tapes on that. That one was fake news. We won that fair and square, and then we played them the next year, and the game started at like 11 p.m. Eastern, and I'm in bed watching, getting irate in like December 6th, and it was terrible. But the Purdue game was worse.
Yeah, I remember being frustrated during the Purdue game.
And the president of the university tweeted after the game, like, so proud of our guys for winning against like a wrestling team or something.
Yeah.
I was livid. It's like last year when we beat Duke and everybody was like, well, they were just punching players in the face and all this shit.
Well, I mean, Plazic.
No, he was an enforcer. He did his job efficiently. Took Filipowski completely out of the game. Filipowski was scared, as we've seen this year, a very emotionally fragile individual. And Uros Plavsic put him away.
Just fucking punched, just help him.
He did his job efficiently. He did it really well.
Quick break to talk about our friends at DraftKings. Get in on the college hoops action with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet. What's a no-sweat bet? It's just like having an offensive board. Miss your first shot, you get another opportunity to score with a bonus bet back. You can also follow what all of your favorite Barstool personalities are betting on by joining the Barstool betting group in the social section of the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Titus. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code Titus. The crown is yours. So, what's the difference, as a guy who watches like every game, what is the difference between this Tennessee team, besides just like the generalities of like we have Dalton Knecht, which, you know, maybe that is all it boils down to. But what do you say to Dan basically when Dan is like, yeah, Tennessee is rolling, but it's still Rick Barnes in March?
Oh, well, that's outing yourself as a non-ball knower. So like if you want to take it, first of all, we're talking about a tournament that is specifically and intentionally designed for the best teams to not win. That's the whole marketing of it, is like the best teams lose all the time. It's really fun. Go game by game. So 2018, Clayton Custer, I'll never forget that fucker's name, hits a shot that touches every single part of the rim, falls in, and then Jordan Bones' 35-footer rims out. They lose to Loyola Chicago, who had...
You guys were... I'm not trying to put salt in the wound. I'm just trying to remember. You guys, you guys were winning when he shot. That wasn't like a tie game.
We were up one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So if he misses,
game's over.
Yeah.
And they have voodoo magic. They go to the Final Four. They were a good team. 2019, storm back from down like 20 against Purdue. Carson Edwards commits an offensive foul that is called a defensive foul. And they go to overtime and win. That was horse shit. Purdue was, and then they played Virginia, who cheated to win like 3 games in that tournament. We would have smoked Virginia. We would have won the national title that year. 2020, no tournament. 21, we lose to, that's probably the worst loss. That was to 12-seed Oregon State, who also had voodoo magic and went to the Elite Eight.
They had a Sister Jean. That they brought in the old dude,
but that Tennessee team was bad. Like that was just not a good team. 22 draw Michigan as an 11 seed, who was preseason number 1 overall, I think, and had Hunter Dickinson and all those guys, and we shot like 3 of 26 from 3 or something, and lost at the, we were leading the whole game.
Yeah.
And then last year in the Sweet 16, lose to another team that went to the Final Four in a horrible shooting performance. All that to say, first of all, most of those teams, except for 2019, never had an offensive threat like this one does.
Yeah.
Like, they were all just, eventually they were going to have a game where they scored 53 points and lost. And also, all those were in the Sweet 16, second round. One of them was in the second round and won first. But we've been to the Sweet 16 a couple times. Like, it's hard to win a national championship in basketball.
It's very hard. Yes, it is.
How many coaches have done it currently that are still that are coaching
right now? This is a great trivia question. Cal, Izzo, Hurley, Tony Bennett, Scott Drew.
Tony Bennett doesn't count either. I don't count that.
Why don't you count that?
That's fake.
That's the best. That's the best run to the national championship.
They won
ever.
A national title, lost to a 16, and are going to not make the tournament this year. Now listen, trade all that for one national title. That's great, but theirs is fake.
What, because of this year?
Because of every year
we're
since.
5 years after.
Every year since.
What does that have to do with anything?
They lose to a 14 every single
season. That's fine. That doesn't take away the magical
this year,
run.
If they make the tournament, they'll be a 14.
They lost all their best players.
Get new ones.
Well, that doesn't mean. Like, what has LSU football done? That doesn't take away from the Joe Burrow team. You don't look at that team and say that national championship doesn't count because you guys.
No, I would say Ed Orgeron's national title doesn't count, certainly. Ed Orgeron and Gene Chizik have exactly.
But that doesn't take
you and I could have coached that team to a national championship.
That counts.
For sure. No, the team was unreal, which is why you don't give Ed Orgeron the credit for that. Also, Virginia should have lost like 3 different games in that tournament if the refs didn't cheat for them.
But I would say the more they got lucky, the more it actually made the story. Like, it gets to a point where you're no longer saying you're just lucky sons of bitches. There's magic to it.
Was it Purdue or Auburn when they batted the free throw back to like half
Purdue.
court, and they didn't start the clock for like 2 full seconds,
Okay,
and the guy made Diabate or Diakite.
Diakite. Yeah.
Made the shot the free throw line 8 seconds after the clock.
Purdue fans are very confused as to how to feel about you. Purdue fans that listen to my show that don't know anything about Big T are like, I kind of hated the guy when he was saying earlier that Purdue screwed, but now I'm back on his side.
Let me make it unequivocal. I fucking hate Purdue. Hate Purdue. For some reason, we just run into them in these bullshit. The Music City Bowl 2 years ago. I don't know if you've seen this. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Go look up right now. Look up Tennessee Purdue Music City Bowl goal line. Google that.
Tennessee Purdue.
In overtime of the Music City Bowl, on 4th down, we made it about 1.5 yards into the end zone, and the refs were like, yeah, that's not a touchdown. Then they review it. It's clear that it's a touchdown, and they say, well, actually, we're not allowed to review that. We just reviewed it to make it look better so that it didn't look like we blew this call so bad. And then Purdue wins that game. Then there's the tournament game. We lose to them again. I fucking hate Purdue. And
I gotta see it. So this was how many years ago?
2021.
This is all right. So this was.
I'll find the screenshot.
I'm looking at 3rd down. That's 3rd. It was a 4th down play.
In overtime.
All right. So I'm in overtime. I gotta see this. Oh.
His entire body's in the end zone.
Oh, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown.
Yeah, no, it's maybe the worst call in the history of football.
That's a touchdown.
Here's the screenshot I was referencing where it's not even close.
He's not down at all. He's not even a little bit down.
Nope. So I fucking hate Purdue. But Virginia did cheat in that game. And we would have won it. 2019 is the only tournament that I'm like, we would have won the national title.
Yeah, because it did feel like all three. I remember those 3 teams, and I forget who Virginia played in that regional in the Sweet 16. But you guys obviously played Purdue, and I remember thinking between you, Purdue, and Virginia, you had 3 coaches with teams that could win national championships, but it was also 3 coaches that had a reputation. Fair or not, but that's just how people felt about him. Was like, these are 3 guys that are bozos and can't get it done in March and whatever. And I remember thinking, this is brutal because one of them will emerge and the other 2 have to just like live with the stink of, because that's how a tournament works. One team wins and one team. But realistically, if you were all peppered around different regionals, that could have been 3 Final Four teams. Absolutely.
If Tennessee loses in the 2nd round this year to a 9 or 7 seed, whatever, we should be a 1, but we're not going to be.
You could be a 1. If you win the SEC tournament, you'll be a 1.
No. 2 years ago, we won the SEC tournament, and Joe Lunardi said, yeah, those games don't matter, and we were still a 3.
But was it 2 years ago that you didn't have a team this good?
If we finish these last 4 games, Auburn, at Bama, at South Carolina, Kentucky, 4-0, we have to be a 1 seed.
Yeah.
Have to.
Absolutely. Well, the SEC is way better not way better, but it is better this year than it has been. Too, so maybe it's
really good.
I think it's the most fun league in the country.
And Arizona, why is Arizona? Tell me these things. I need somebody to talk to about this. So Arizona, whose best wins are at Duke in November 12th,
yeah,
and then they have 1 more good win, and that's it.
They beat Bama as well.
Correct. Yeah. Okay,
they beat the shit out of Wisconsin, who they beat Michigan State.
We beat Wisconsin. We've beaten Bama twice. I believe they played Bama in Phoenix, so it was a home game.
If Tennessee, if you guys win these next 2, I don't even think you have to win the SEC tournament, but just don't lose to a bad team. You lose to only Bama or Auburn or Kentucky, say, in the SEC tournament. I feel like that's a 1 seed. I feel like
it
that's
should be. It's not going to be. I promise you.
Arizona is very good for what it's worth, but I think you will. I think you'll get the 1 seed.
If Tennessee finishes these games 4-0 and is minus 150 to get the last 1 seed, in Arizona is plus 125 or whatever is on DraftKings #DK partner, I will be responsibly hammering Arizona to get the 4th 1 seed because that's absolutely what's going to happen.
Now, hold on. Who have you guys lost to? Does that matter? No.
At North Carolina, Purdue, and Kansas, and then at Mississippi State, at Texas A&M, and South Carolina. South Carolina's the only bad one.
Yeah, those aren't even.
We should have beaten them, but we just shot terribly that game.
Yeah, losing at home to South Carolina.
They're a good team, though.
They are good. No, I think you guys are going to be a 1 seed. In fact, I'll argue on your behalf. I'll argue
I appreciate that.
If you guys
that's the side of common sense.
Yeah, I like this Arizona team a lot, but I picked Tennessee when Big Cat was on the show in the preseason. We were throwing out national champion teams that weren't, that weren't blue bloods, and I said Tennessee, and I've stuck with it, and I've been in love with Dalton Knecht since before he even played 1 second of actual basketball.
Well, hang on, that's not true, because you and I were talking September or October about this, and I told you that Dalton Knecht was going to be nasty.
And then I came around before he played 1 second.
And you were
so
like,
true.
well, they said this about Tyreek Key, which is the most disrespectful.
They did.
The most disrespectful comparison in the history of comparisons.
Did you or did you not, when Tyreek Key came to Knoxville, not you, but the fucking Tennessee machine at large, did you not try to sell to America that, like, this guy's going to fix all of our offensive problems?
Here was the thing about Tyreek Key. We played Gonzaga in a preseason scrimmage in Frisco, Texas, and we put up 100 points on him, and he had like 30. And that's when everybody was like, holy fuck, Tyreek Key is unbelievable. And then it just never really – he didn't do that the rest of the season. Dalton Knecht, all you had to do was watch the Michigan State scrimmage that we played, and it was like I've genuinely never seen a player in college. I'm sure there have been some at other schools. I've never seen one at Tennessee that you just look at him and watch the shots he makes. You're like, that looks like an NBA game.
Yeah.
Like I was watching Thunder Suns last night, and SGA made a turnaround jumper. I was like, Knecht shoots that all.
Yeah.
Like that, the kind of shots he makes are.
You don't even have to. You could
game.
You could black out the hoop and not even see if the shots go in or not, and you could just tell by the way he moves on a court, the way he dribbles, the way he gets into his shot, that he is a different specimen than everyone else.
Yeah, like the way he gets to the basket is crazy.
It's so effortless. It is crazy. I don't understand where this came from. This man averaged 9 points a game from Northern Colorado 2 years ago.
By the way, he led the conference in scoring last year and was second team all conference. How's that happen?
They must have sucked.
He was the Big Sky leading scorer and was second
really
team all Big Sky. I think they were like fine. I don't know. I want number 3 retired though. I want it retired. So the criteria, I think you have to get 3 out of 5. It's like win a national championship, which could happen. First team All-American, gonna happen.
Yeah.
You have to like lead in a career statistical category. Obviously, you can't do that. And there's a couple others. It doesn't matter though. Like he's gonna have the best season in Tennessee history.
Who's retired?
Chris Lofton, Bernard King, I think Ernie Grunfeld.
I was gonna say Bernie and Ernie.
Allen Houston.
Those would be the 4 that
There's
I would...
one more. I'll think of it. But like really good players.
JP Prince probably.
There should be a vibe section.
Wayne Chisholm.
It
probably.
should be Wayne Chisholm, JP Prince, Jawan Smith, Admiral Schofield.
Mm-hmm.
5 is already retired for Lofton, but Schofield should have his own in the vibes category.
Have you been a Tennessee fan your whole life?
No.
Like, do you remember?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't a Tennessee fan
like,
until I was like aware because I lived in the South, but I wasn't a Tennessee fan until I went to school.
Do you remember? Because Brandon and I brought it. We were talking about it earlier on Mostly Sports last week. Like the 07 the Ohio State Tennessee game in 07.
Right. Yeah, I was not a Tennessee fan at the time.
You don't carry those scars.
No.
You guys got revenge on us though in 2010. You beat us. Yeah, that was the last game of my career technically, but. Yeah, we have some weird history with Tennessee basketball. And then Aaron Kraft. Do you know that story?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're aware of the Aaron Kraft saga.
Rick Barnes being the coach at Tennessee is a direct byproduct of Aaron Kraft.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's true.
And it's only like a 4-domino thing.
Yeah.
It's not very far.
The Mark Titus Show is brought to you by Visible. Visible is your escape plan from wireless traps. On Visible, get one-line wireless with unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon for just $25 a month, taxes and fees included. I'll say it again, one-line wireless, just $25 a month, and taxes and fees are included. Visible is transparent wireless, an escape plan from wireless with hidden fees. Switching to Visible is a no-brainer. Unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon, $25 a month. Taxes and fees included, no hidden fees. Switch now at visible.com. Go do it now, visible.com. Say goodbye to all those hidden fees and know that you're just going to pay $25 a month every month for one line wireless, visible.com. One of the other things about this Tennessee team that's different from Tennessee teams, and not everyone, but like in this recent run of, good, you've had good teams and you haven't made the Final Four, whatever. I think you're far better suited to play up tempo. Now, part of that is not, I don't know how much like Rick Barnes wants to actually push tempo and how much of it is playing in a league with Kentucky and Alabama and, like a bunch of other teams that want to run. But either way, I feel like I'm watching more Tennessee basketball where you guys are getting up and down the floor and you're not like fish out of water. You're like very comfortable with it. Ziegler and obviously Knecht, but Vescovi, like all the guards feel very comfortable pushing tempo in a way that I don't feel that's been the case in the past. And to me, like that is the mark of a team you can trust is do you have a plan B? Do you have, because I do trust Tennessee to get into a rock fight still. Even, Dalton Knecht is not exactly great defensively, but like if the game takes on a rock fight, I trust that the rest of the team is going to be like, we're good.
It is really funny that he's the best offensive player I've ever seen and just can't play defense.
He can't play defense.
To save his life, and that's fine. He doesn't need to.
But if the game takes on a and it might, like you guys have Kentucky coming up this weekend, like if it's likely that game is going to be up and down like it was in Rupp Arena, you're very comfortable with that. And I think that's the mark of a team that's like, oh, no matter how you try to attack them, they're going to be fine with the tone of the game, which I don't think has been the case in recent years, where it's like you guys have gone into games and said, we have to dictate our terms. If we don't do that, we're fucked. Whereas this year's team, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like if you're missing shots, you can find a way. If you're, the game gets slowed down, you can find a way. I think there's a lot of different ways Tennessee can win basketball games now, and that excites me for this team.
I think the two games that make me the most optimistic for the NCAA tournament are winning, I think it was 103-92 at Kentucky, and then the Bama game where Knecht did not play very well. They were down double digits, I think, and still came back and won. Like those two games, very different set of circumstances. They found a way. They can score 100 points, or they can still grind it out, play great defense, and win.
Yeah, Knecht doesn't even have to be I know he's averaging like 20 a game, but he doesn't have to score 20 every night. I think his function more than anything else is he's the break glass in case of emergency guy, and that is not to say that's the only time you're going to use him, but like I don't think him like. I think the Bama game, that's what I said earlier, like that's a great thing that you didn't need Dalton Knecht to score 35 points to beat Alabama on the road. Even
Grant Williams, it wasn't like, oh shit, we're down 8 with 6 minutes left. Let's just give the ball to Grant every possession and he's going to make something happen.
Yeah.
Now he could score, but he wasn't a guard who you could have bring the ball up and say, listen, pal, this is all you.
Yeah.
You go take care of it. And Knecht has done that like 4 times.
And then the other thing, by bringing in Knecht, the roles on the team, everybody gets bumped down a level, and it like makes, just from an offensive standpoint, defensively, Tennessee's been fine for years. Offensively, though, having like Vescovi's a leading scorer last year. I think he's like 5th or 6th in average this year.
He should never have to pay for a beer in Knoxville ever, because he's been, was he first team all SEC, but he's been an all SEC player. Awesome shooter, and like has been completely fine being the 4th, 5th option. And like Josiah Jordan-James, who some people like him, some people don't, whatever. Very solid player for many years, fine being in a similar role to that also. Like everybody has been like, no, Dalton, go like, do whatever you want, go for it, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I love Vescovi, but like Vescovi last year, when you look up and you're like, oh, their offense at times is just Vescovi making play. I don't know if I love him that much, but when he's in the role he's in on this team, it's like, oh shit, dude, you have your 5th option is fucking the guy who led the team in scoring last year. That's crazy.
Knockdown shooter.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a great spot to be in. The SEC as a whole, are you finding yourself getting more into basketball just because Tennessee is good, or is Greg Sankey's master plan working that 8 to 10 years ago the South decided we should give a shit about basketball, and they just snapped your fingers and all of a sudden you look up and like Auburn's good at basketball and you're like, where did this come from?
I mean,
South Carolina's making Final Fours. You're like, what the hell is going on here?
Obviously, it was very smart by the SEC. I'll watch every Tennessee basketball game if they're 0-30. Like that's just I'll never not watch a Tennessee game. But like, yeah, it's all like Auburn's arena is incredible. Tennessee's incredible. Kentucky's fine. A lot of olds there.
Yeah,
it's not as great, but like the atmospheres, it's how I describe. I don't know how into hockey you are, but like the Nashville Predators, when they're good, the games are unbelievable because it's college football fans at a hockey game.
Yeah,
and like now you've given that to the basketball at those schools also.
Do you feel like that's a tangible thing that in the South? Because as an outsider, the SEC, frankly, has been irrelevant as a conference. Now, there are good teams. Florida and Kentucky and Tennessee's had some teams. There are good teams that pop up, but like, I'm never saying to myself, I wonder what SEC basketball game is on. Let me just throw it on and watch. And I'm doing that now. So I'm curious, like, as a Southerner, do you feel like that's like a tangible thing that like people care more about basketball in a way they never did up until like 10 years ago, or is this just all like? We just so happen to live in a time where there are a lot of good SEC teams, but nobody really cares more or less than they did before.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think, like, obviously Kentucky, they're going to watch every basketball game no matter what.
Yeah.
All the Tennessee fans I know, like, would watch every basketball game regardless. I think it's great for, like, the perception of the conference that, there's – how many teams are in the top 25 right now? 6,
25
7?
Still. Oh,
out of the SEC. Yeah. And people are like, this is a really good conference and the atmospheres are awesome. But I don't know that. I think if you care more or less, I mean, you're just describing like bandwagon fans, really. Like I'm sure there are some of those.
Which is Auburn. That's Auburn. Auburn. Who in Auburn cared about basketball until Bruce Pearl showed up?
Auburn is probably the one that, yeah.
Yeah. Which is,
Like, how big is their arena? Like 7,000 people, something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone can have like one of the largest on campus.
And Arkansas has a storied history and a great basketball program. They won titles and have been to Final Fours and all that. But Arkansas had fallen off, and the Muss run this year they suck. But like that run that he's been on has rejuvenated that program, and they're crazy about basketball now, which it helps because their football team's dog shit, right? Arkansas.
Yeah.
Football is.
I mean, this is the way life goes. If your team is great, like obviously the fan support is going to be, like a better example is like I would watch every Tennessee SEC baseball game too when they were horrible and now we're awesome. There are a lot of probably people who had never watched college baseball before, but I think basketball, like if you're a fan of the school, you're watching.
Yeah.
Regardless.
All right, so give me the expectations. Give me the, obviously, if you lose any NCAA tournament game, you're going to say this fucking sucks, and I hate that we lost, and I think we were good enough to win a national championship. But what does this team have to do for you to look back in, like, 5 or 6 years and be like, that team was awesome and special, and
Final Four.
And they got it done. Just get to the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, they finally have the what's the word I'm looking for?
Dalton Knecht.
The antidote to the problem that they've had in the past.
Right.
So if you can't do it now, and I mean, we lose almost everybody next year.
Yeah.
So this is the time to do it. If they get to the Elite Eight and lose by 1, like in 10 years, you'll still look back fondly on Dalton Knecht and all that. But like this has to be the one.
It kind of does.
It's got to be the one.
I can't believe you've never been to a Final Four as a program. That feels shocking.
Yeah, never been a 1 seed either.
You never been a 1 seed?
No. 2 is as high as they've gotten.
You were what year was that? Like one of the Chris Lofton teams wasn't a 1 seed?
2008?
Yeah, 2008 you were number 1 in the country.
2.
Damn. And you lost to who'd you lose to in 2008 in the tournament? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there was a run where I felt like was it Louisville? Did you lose to Louisville in the tournament?
Yeah, because 2010 was Michigan State.
Yeah, 2010, you guys beat us in the Sweet 16. You want to talk about cheating? Someone on Tennessee poisoned my food, and it's a true story. I was the last game of my career, which again I wasn't playing, and it was irrelevant anyway. But I was a locker room vibes guy, Big T, and you know how important those guys are.
No, it's important.
Very important. Going into the Sweet 16 against Tennessee. I wake up the morning of the game, and I'm shit. It's coming out both ends. I'm shitting as I'm puking, and I'm grabbing the trash can, puking on the toilet, all that, all the works. I missed the game. I have to watch it from a hotel room across the street, and Wayne Chisholm and J.P. Prince and those fucks ended my career as I was vomiting in a trash can. And it's one of the great what-ifs in college basketball history. It's like, what if I was there during timeouts to motherfuck our guys? What if I was there to just yell, pull your heads out of your asses? I wasn't. We lost. It's a great what-if. It's a great what-if. That's all I'm saying. So
it is crazy that last game of your career.
Yeah, it was Tennessee. All right, we gotta talk about it before you go. The free throw stream. I know it's been like a month. Has it been a month? How long has it been, TJ? When did we do that?
3 or 4 weeks.
February 11th was the Super Bowl, I think. So what are we doing on the 12th? So it's been about 3 weeks. What happened?
Well, I was put in the worst situation of anybody because going into it, everybody's like, okay, Titus and Big T, like those are our guys. Titus and Big T. You're a machine. I'm a good free throw shooter. So, and Dave was like, first of all, I don't know if I want to say that. No, I'll say it. Dave, in the morning, we were warming up, and Dave was watching me shoot, and he goes, Big T doesn't miss.
Oh, no.
And then he was telling me and you, like, right before it started, he's like, y'all know you can't miss, like, at all. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, that's the goal. And I probably shot 75 to 80% over the course of the 16 hours, but that was...
It wasn't good
horrible
enough. Yeah.
And then at some point I was like, well, Kirk was doing really well. You were obviously a machine. And then we started to get other people in there. I was like, well, I'm just going to like, and then, but now this narrative has been like, oh, well, Big T was so bad that like they took him out. I was like, well, I don't want to, I was doing not as well as I would have liked.
You were. I understand what you're saying. That's hard. That's a hard spot to be in for everybody to just assume that you and I were equals, and then I was not missing. I was like locked in. So that's a tough standard, but we've shot a lot of free throws together, and you were not as good as you.
Yeah, no, I was.
You were a little bit off, a little bit. It wasn't a brutal.
I was not as good as I would have liked or expected.
Yeah. And that's it.
It happens.
And that happens. And Kirk being good kind of fucked you too. Cause,
yes.
He kind of came out of nowhere and was awesome, and he became the number 2 option. But yeah, I didn't know if you had, you want to speak your piece.
No, I mean, I'm comfortable in my ability. You and I have made 53 in a row before. Like, this was our thing before it was anyone else's.
It really was.
So,
we're the reason this whole thing happened, I think, because they were kicking around the idea and they weren't sure if it was possible or if they should even do it.
Which is why we were like, well, we'll
be the guinea pigs, and then we just did it. Hit
in like
in a
2
row.
days.
Should we pick that back up?
I mean, what number would we shoot for now? Because it
know.
was 50, we got to 53. You were the one that missed the 54th,
by the way.
It wasn't me.
That's what I'm saying. It was. I've seen you at your best. And,
no, I'm comfortable in my ability. I wish it would have gone a little better on the stream.
Well, people were saying like you were the free throw champion of the office too. I ran away from the challenge.
I wish you would have competed in that because
I ran away from the challenge.
I would have loved for you to be there. You think you could have made 17 in a row? Because that's how many I made.
Boy, that's a great what if. I wonder if.
So many I made. I don't know.
But
well, it was 14. Then I got my mulligan on the football shot and made 3 more.
People were saying, and I hated this about it because it was really, I'm a Big T guy, and I was defending you as best I could. But people were saying it was reminiscent of Tennessee basketball that you were great in the free throw stream,
right.
But when the real lights were on and it was really time to show up, you were still good, but just not quite good enough. And I was like, that's unfair. That's unfair.
No, that is crazy.
It was crazy.
It's crazy that people said that. Can I give my one criticism of Dalton Knecht that you've reminded me of? The next time he makes 2 free throws will be the first. They say he's 77%. I don't know where that number comes from. He must have shot 95% in non-conference because he has not made 2 free throws the rest of the season. And he's the best shooter in the country.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it.
I think what happens is he's probably a little tired and
that's fair.
And when he gets to the free throw line, he just wants to take a break versus like focus on the shot. So he's probably just like mentally not all there. Number 2, he might be bored. He might say to himself, this isn't a fun way to score points. I want to be more exciting than
well,
this.
Grant
I'm bored by
Williams
this.
free throwed his way to a victory at Vandy one time, going 23 for 23, and I've in the deep recesses of my mind, I have seen a way the season ends, and I don't want it to be on a Dalton Knecht free throw because that would break me. I need him to lock in at the line.
Oh, no. Why would you put that out there?
I don't think that's going to happen. We're winning the national championship. Don't worry about it.
Oh, no. Cody, don't clip that. Don't clip that and have that ready for if Dalton Knecht misses. I'm telling you, don't. I don't know if I'm can you hear me okay? Do not do that. Okay.
That's why I'm trying to get him to lock in right now because we've got 3-4 games until it's go time, and I need him dialed at the line.
Quick break to talk about Rhoback Activewear. This is the only thing I will be wearing all March and the rest of the year for that matter. That first weekend of March Madness may be the best weekend in all the sports, and it isn't the same without Rhoback. First, Rhoback's performance hoodies are a total game changer, maybe the softest, stretchiest hoodies in the game. They are moisture wicking too, so when you're sweating or you're sweating out that bet bracket buster, you're sweating out, that bet or the bracket buster, Rhoback's hoodies will get you through. Secondly, Rhoback's Performance Q-Zips, and it is Q-Zip season, folks. The spring is coming around. That's time to bust out the Q-Zips. Bring a new meaning to the word comfortable. They are the definition of versatile, perfect to rock in an arena or on your couch. These Q-Zips are incredible. Finally, Rhoback's Performance Joggers are made for March. They're flexible, allowing for an easy movement and celebrations when that buzzer beater falls. If you want a perfect bracket, you wear Rhoback. So check out Rhoback and use code Titus on Rhoback.com for 20% off your first purchase. That's RHOBACK.com. 20% off all performance hoodies, crew necks, joggers, and more with code Titus. Rhoback.com. 3 things that I promise I will do for you. Number 1, as long as you don't fuck up, you being Tennessee, as long as you guys don't fuck up and lose to a team, I don't even know what the SEC tournament draw is looking like right now, but if you lose like LSU or something, I can't help you. But as long as you don't have to win the SEC tournament, just don't fuck up and lose to a bad team.
So win on Friday.
Yeah, win on Friday and only lose to one of these. Lose to Kentucky or Bama or an Auburn, basically. Those would be the 3. South Carolina, I feel like might be a little bit of a fuck. Like South Carolina's having a great year, but they're not that. The
analytics don't like them, but they're a solid team.
They're a solid team, but if you want to be a 1 seed at this point in the season, you can't lose to South Carolina.
But I don't want to lose to Kentucky or Alabama either.
Right, but if you lost to Kentucky, I would still fight for you as a 1 seed. So okay. I promise you, when the day comes, if you're not a 1 seed, I will be mad on your behalf.
Okay.
I promise you that I will continue to push the idea of Dalton Knecht belonging in the National Player of the Year conversation, which is to say he's not going to win, but he belongs in the conversation, which maybe the conversation
It's just bullshit. It's bullshit that this guy he doesn't play basketball.
Yeah.
It's horse shit.
It's very I think Zach Edey moving on from college basketball is going to be great for all parties and Purdue fans as well. And I've yelled this at Purdue fans who are like, you're jealous that he's this good and you just don't understand greatness and all that. Deep down, they know that they would much rather if they could push a button and win just as many games as they're winning now, except Carson Edwards is leading them to these wins and not Zach Edey. All of them are pushing the button. All of them.
It's got to be brutal.
Big guys are
to
so
watch.
fucking boring. Big guys are just like guys like that. I mean, a great example would be like Tyler Hansbrough at North Carolina, who had one of the great all-time college basketball careers. His trophy case and his individual accolades are very few players can stack up to what he did in college basketball. I know of all the Carolina fans I know, none of them would even consider the idea of saying Tyler Hansbrough is their favorite Tar Heel that they've ever watched. You're throwing out
and he was infinitely more talented,
way
than
more
Zach
talented.
Edey.
But they're always throwing out like your guys who were actually like RJ Davis is way more fun to watch than Tyler Hansbrough was, and he's not even as good. He's not as good, but he's just like more fun because big guys aren't as fun to watch. I don't know.
I have to believe
there's some Carolina fans that are like, that's not true. I fucking love Hansbrough, but
I have to believe there's some people out there who are going to be like, we can't give it to this guy again.
Yeah.
And that's even to discount what Knecht has done, and he's been a better player.
The problem is college basketball is an analytical sport. Like it's like behind other than baseball, it is the number one. Like we have an algorithm for this sport, and I think the fear is that the algorithms say that Zach Edey is so efficient that if you don't vote for him, you are going to get clowned like crazy. And I think there's like a fear, whereas college football, you can, and it's not as, like the impact that one player has on college football can be argued more. You can be like, listen, Marvin Harrison Jr., he's his stats weren't as good as this other guy, but he was drawing a double team, and you can just kind of fudge that a little more. College basketball is harder to. So I think the fear from voters is like, if I don't vote for Edey and I'm on an island and all the analytics say that he's by far the best player, I'm going to look like a fucking bozo, and I don't want to deal with the wrath of the nerds. And I think that's what will factor in.
You know who got elected that way? That's all I'll say. That's happened in history before, Mark.
The third thing that I will defend for you is your free throw shooting ability. So
thank you.
Yeah, I will say that you are the second best shooter in this office. And,
perfectly fair.
Yeah, and I believe in that.
Before,
I miss it like crazy, and I want to shoot more free throws. I need another challenge. So I don't know what that is, but
I mean, we can. Is 60 then? Like 60 isn't a sexy number, but it'd be
It's
hard
not.
as shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
75.
I just want to keep pushing. I just want to keep seeing where the limit is. That's all.
We did 53 remarkably quickly. So
we did, yeah. We set out the 50 was the goal, and within 2 days we hit 53.
And that's 2 days of 30 minutes a day. It's not like we were doing it for 2 days like we did the other one.
Yeah, it was literally we're setting aside 30 minutes just to see, and then once the 30 minutes is up, we're like, all right, we'll try again tomorrow, and we did it on day 2, and I miss it, and because I thought that this was going to go on for a while, and it didn't, and I don't know, I miss it. I wanted
before we moved off Edey, I have one more. I had a stat for you.
Yeah.
Do you know how many shots in his career he has made 11 feet or more away from the basket? He's played his 4th or 5th year.
I think he's made 1 3, which, and other than that, I'm trying to think of instances where he was shooting jump shots. I would. It's got to be single digits, right?
It is 9. He is 9 of 36 for his career beyond 11 feet.
And you know what's crazy is every offseason he's been at Purdue, I've seen videos of him like jab stepping on the perimeter and then pulling from 3 and like, working on like all these skills that he's going to utilize to show NBA scouts the next season. And then the season starts and he's just parking his ass under the basket. And
listen, if this is what we want college basketball to be, fine. Just tell me that. I guess I want to make basketball a little more fun, Fun for the kids, get the youth involved in the game, have them. The NBA, really popular right now.
Yeah.
College basketball, I don't know if you know this, Mark, not as popular.
It's dead. It's dead is what people say.
Some say that.
It's dead.
So I just want the game to be a little more fun, and I guess I apologize for that.
A vote for Zach Edey is never mind this season. It's a horrendous precedent, and what you're signaling to the rest of the players is play like that, which means
correct.
That's just a march towards irrelevancy as a sport, and we can't let that happen.
Yeah. No, if that's what we want it to be, that's fine.
Thank you, Big T. This was fun. As Tennessee goes on a run in the tournament, you'll come back on, and we'll
love that.
We'll do this again. And so I should hate Tennessee because you ended my career, and I thought that in 2010, I thought we were going back to the Final Four because we were the 2 seed. Kansas lost to Northern Iowa on the
Farouk-Manesh.
Yeah. So the bracket was we had to beat Tennessee, and then we were going to play the winner of Northern Iowa and Michigan State, and we had just beat the piss out of Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament like a week before, and we had their number. And I remember, and my senior year, the Final Four was in Indy, and I'm from Indy, and I just started connecting all these stars, and I was like, holy shit, I'm going to go back home to Indy and play in the Final Four, and oh my God, this is all happening. And then Tennessee fucked it up. So I should hate Tennessee, but I can't deny fun teams and fun players when they're right in front of my face. And that's what Dalton Knecht is.
You had a rough go of it with SEC teams in the tournament.
Ohio State?
Yeah.
Or we lost to Kentucky the next year. I wasn't on that team, though.
Well, Florida.
They cheated. Can you admit that?
I believe it. They love
winning.
They love cheating.
Winning
not as much as Auburn, but they love cheating.
Big T, they won a national champ. This is at a time when you can't pay players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wink, wink, whatever. They win a national championship, and they somehow get all 5 starters to come back.
Well, they wanted one more run at it.
Yeah, why? Why would you did what you had to do. You did everything. Go to the NBA. Leave this alone. And they're like, no, all 5 of us are going to come back. That's unfair. It's cheating. It's horseshit.
It is pretty crazy.
It's crazy. All right, Big T, thank you. Best of luck to the Vols. I will fight the good fight for you.
I appreciate that.
We'll see where the chips fall. All right, thank you to Big T. For a fun conversation, I guess. Contentious. I don't know. It's hard to tell with him. Like there were times where he would like ask me a question and he's like, explain to me why Zach Edey's going to win, and I'm like explaining it to him, but also it feels like he thinks that I think that Zach Edey's awesome, and I don't know how he does that. He's very good at that. That was I was like, dude, I love Dalton Knecht more than anybody outside of Knoxville. I fucking love Dalton Knecht, and suddenly now I'm sitting here like you're yelling at me that Dalton Knecht is better than Zach Edey. No, he's insane, and I love him for it, and I want to shoot free throws with him. But thank you for joining the show, Big T. Before we get out of here, a few things I want to talk about. Number one, Gonzaga is back, and I was pounding the drum for most of the season that Gonzaga is going to miss the tournament if they don't pull their heads out of their asses, because their schedule is not great. Their non-conference was not great, and they were very much on the bubble. And I still think technically they are on the bubble. They are not through the finish line yet, but they beat the snot out of San Francisco, who's not a bad basketball team by any stretch of the imagination. They win the big road game, and then they turn around and take care of business against St. Mary's as well in a revenge game. St. Mary's had beat them in Spokane, and they win in Moraga as well. This coming on, I wouldn't say the heels, but like not too long ago, the Kentucky game we had circled as like this might be their last chance to show the committee and everybody else something, and they beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena. So Gonzaga's going to be in. Shout out to them for figuring it out. I mean, like I said, they're not quite done yet, but the WCC tournament coming up, Gonzaga has the bye to the semifinals. I don't know if you saw this, TJ. The WCC tournament every year does this, the wildest bracket, and every time they put it out, people go crazy. I just want to go on record. I am pro what the WCC is doing with this. I think the idea of Gonzaga or St. Mary's getting upset in the first round is devastating to the conference. You want to have a system where if you're a smaller conference and you have a team that like a Gonzaga or a St. Mary's that could actually go far in the NCAA tournament, you want to make sure that they're in NCAA tournament. I don't have a problem with this at all. I think this is smart, and I think every small conference should do this.
Yeah, they post this tournament bracket every year, and every year it goes viral because it just looks like the greater than symbol. Like it's just like a left-facing carrot or whatever. But then you could say like, oh, Gonzaga made it. Even if they get upset in their first game, they made it to the fourth or fifth round of the WCC tournament again. Like that's good marketing.
It's good marketing. But this year's a great example. Like Gonzaga being on the bubble, that conference should want Gonzaga in the tournament. That's and if you're like one of the other WCC schools, you probably roll your eyes, and probably at this point you're beyond rolling your eyes. You're very upset. You have your pitchforks and you're yelling, "Why do they get to control the league?" Well, the reason is because they run the league. I mean, they win the league all the time, and they are the national brand in that league. But I do think it's funny. I think it's absurd to see a tournament that looks like that. Like if the NCAA tournament did something like this, it'd be insane. But ultimately, every conference can decide who they want to represent their conference. Every conference, and this is obvious for a lot of fans, but there's probably somebody listening or watching that did not realize this. And so apologies if this comes across as condescending, but somebody out there is going to learn this for the first time. Every conference in college basketball gets one automatic bid. How they decide who gets that automatic bid is up to their discretion. And there's a misconception that conference tournaments are a must, and that you have to let every team in the conference tournament, and then whoever wins the conference tournament is the automatic. Every conference could do whatever they want. The WCC could go into the WCC could play the WCC tournament, and if Gonzaga doesn't win, they could just be like, never mind, we're giving Gonzaga the automatic bid. Now, it's probably in their bylaws and their whatever that they wouldn't do that, but if that's the system they want to create, the Ivy League did not have a tournament for a long time, and then when they did get a tournament, they now have a situation where you have to qualify for the tournament. So not every team in the Ivy League even makes their tournament. And I think So I think like if you did the NCAA tournament the way the WCC does theirs, obviously that's unfair and insane and like not a way to crown a champion. But ultimately, all the WCC is trying to do is make sure that their representative in the NCAA tournament is the best team that they can put forward. And I think rewarding the teams that were the best in the regular season makes a lot of sense to me. So I don't have a problem with it. And I do think that every smaller conference should do that. Maybe not like the A10s and the Mountain West, but yeah, if you're in the Sun Belt, I don't have a problem with, or America East Conference. Like you should probably do what the WCC's doing, but people see it differently. But yeah, Gonzaga, no matter whether you're pro or against the WCC bracket, Gonzaga is absolutely rolling right now. So shout out to them for figuring it out. Quick break to talk about Sport Clips. Your hair may grow fast, but after going to Sport Clips haircuts, you'll wish it grew even faster. That's because Sport Clips has the best seats and hair, and that may or may not be because they happen to be right in front of the TVs, playing sports all day, every day. We know that watching sports while getting a haircut sure beats watching your reflection while getting a haircut, which is why at Sport Clips, every day is clippers and curveballs, high tops and Hail Marys, and even waves and wickets, if you're into that kind of thing. At Sport Clips, you can check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with pure, uninterrupted relaxation. So, yeah, come watch an endless stream of sports on TV while getting an awesome haircut. March Madness is here. This week, conference tournaments are going on. There will be basketball games on your televisions throughout the day very, very soon. And if you're someone who needs to step away and get a haircut but you don't want to miss the action, I got the perfect place for you. It is Sport Clips. They will have the game on. I promise you that. You can get your haircut. You can watch the game. It is a game changer. Sport Clips. Speaking of conference tournaments, Arch Madness starts on Thursday, and I'm not talking about the Jersey Jerry thing. You saw, I assume, the clip of Jake being asked if he would partake in Arch Madness, and he was like, hell yeah.
Of course.
I'd love to go to St. Louis. That's awesome. Crazy year for Jerry to ask, too, because Arch Madness in St. Louis, I mean, it's always pretty awesome, but this year it's going to be especially awesome. Drake and Indiana State are both on the bubble. I think they both should be in. They're both such fun teams, and Tucker DeVries and Robbie Avila are incredible players, and I want to see what both of them will do in the NCAA tournament. So I'm hoping they both make it in nonetheless, but Bradley's a good team as well. I'm fired up for the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. It starts on Thursday. In arguing that Indiana State and Drake should both be in, it dawned on me this morning that I think I'm in a position to allow 80 teams into the NCAA tournament. I think maybe even more than that. Like I don't know. There's so many teams that I was looking at the bubble because the Buckeyes are slowly playing their way onto the bubble.
Yep.
We're not quite there yet. We need Rutgers to take a dive for us, please. So if you could talk to your people.
We'll work something out.
But I was looking at the bubble, and I was like, I kind of want all these teams in. I kind of want – I need St. John's in the tournament. I want Colorado in the tournament. They're good. The only team I really don't want in is Virginia, which breaks my heart because I love Virginia basketball for so many years, and I just cannot watch them play basketball anymore, and it's devastating. But I kind of want every team in the tournament, and then I realized I am Dick Vitale now. I am the guy who's going to be arguing that I'm not necessarily pro expansion, but also I think every team should be in the NCAA tournament, and every team that misses out, I'm going to say they got snubbed, even though I understand the math says only 68 teams can make it. What else? Baylor Shireman is that dude. 26 points, 14 boards versus Marquette. I want to go on record as saying that Baylor Shireman, I've seen enough, and I should have declared this earlier, but Baylor Shireman is the best rebounding guard I have ever seen in my life in terms of college basketball players. He is insane. I have no idea how he 14 boards against Marquette, and granted, rebounds. I've been kicking around the idea that rebounds are overrated for the last few years because as more teams are shooting threes, it's less an indicator of like, can you establish position and box your guy out and block him off and go up and get the ball. And it's more of like, were you in the right spot when the ball exploded off the rim because the guy shot it from 30 feet away now? But then you watch Baylor Shireman, and it makes you rethink everything. He has such a great knack for rebounding. It's incredible. Like he is I don't know how else to describe it. Like he's just got like a sixth sense of where the ball's going to end up. He's so good at rebounding. It excites me. I find myself watching him rebound the basketball and as a guard, and I get very, very excited. But yeah, he had 26 boards. He is averaging, by the way, or 26 points, I'm sorry, with 14 rebounds. He is averaging for Creighton right now 18.5 points, 9 boards, and 4 assists. He's got to be getting some All-American nods. I don't think he's going to be first team, nor do I think he should be. But he's got to be in the mix of All-American. And then I was thinking about that, and I thought the Big East Player of the Year race is going to get very interesting if it hasn't already. And I think most UConn fans will say, no, it's not. It's over. It's Tristan Newton. Maybe so. Maybe you're going to feel that way regardless because you're a UConn fan. So, of course, you see it that way. But Baylor Shireman's putting up numbers. Devin Carter's great. Cam Spencer might be, I don't think he's better than Newton, but he might have a case to win it over Newton. Tyler Kolek's still, he won it last year, and he's still just as good this year as he was last year, if not better. I think he's actually better this year. So yeah, the Big East Player of the Year race is going to get interesting. The All-American race is going to get interesting. I think I got to. Maybe I shouldn't do this week, but I kind of want to this week because there's still one game left for everybody over the weekend. But I kind of want to put my All-American teams together because I gotta get serious about this. Edie's on the team. Knecht's going to be on the team. I think R.J. Davis is a lock. Outside of those three, it starts to. You could debate a little bit, but I think Jamal Shedd's probably on my first team. After that, I don't know, and I'd have to sit down and really think about it. And I might do that. I might do that on the next show because a guy like Baylor Shireman deserves to be in the conversation. What a game against Marquette he had. Lastly, well, I was gonna Caitlin Clark, whatever. I was gonna talk about Caitlin Clark, but whatever. Dude, it's good to feel something again, TJ. That's all I'll say. It's the men's team at Ohio State has sucked for the last couple years. Now we're putting it together a little bit. I don't actually think we're going to make the tournament. I think we have to beat Rutgers and then win probably 3 at least in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, there is a path, and we're playing good basketball, and you just never know. Line them up and let's see what happens. But whatever. I'm not actually saying we're going to make the tournament yet. But we're playing a little better, and I'm starting to get excited about that. But I was watching that Iowa-Ohio State women's game, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something watching a basketball game where Ohio State jerseys were out there, and I missed it like crazy. I missed it. I was yelling at the TV. I was laughing, at some of the absurd calls. If you think men's college basketball refs are bad, watch one women's game, and you will just cackle laughing at some of the calls that they make. But yeah, Caitlin Clark's great. She did flop when she drew the technical and got the points to break a record in a different sport. But whatever. I like Caitlin Clark a lot, and it's not her fault, so I'm not ripping on her being a hater whatsoever. She's so fun to watch, and she's so fucking good. But it's mostly Fox. It's mostly my guys at Fox, and I probably know personally the guys who are making these decisions. But this whole thing where they just keep coming up with a new record for her to break just so they can market it as you got to tune in next game. She's going to break this record. It's stupid. And I hope now that she caught Pete Maravich, we're done with that and we can just focus on her pursuit of winning a national championship versus oh, wow. Like Gus Johnson, I said this on Mostly Sports this morning. I'm going to say it again. She breaks the record. They show the graphic, and they're she just passed Pete Maravich and this whole thing and all that. And Gus Johnson almost immediately starts, spouting off, 3 other college basketball players at various levels and various genders and various spots in the country that have still scored more than Caitlin Clark. And he was doing it because he's there are also these other benchmarks that don't worry, folks. When she gets close to those numbers, we're going to also bring those people up and be oh, there's another record Caitlin Clark's about to break. There's another record. I don't know. It reminded me of Aaron Judge trying to break except the opposite. It'd be if Aaron Judge set the MLB record and then they just kind of invented.
Yeah. A Japanese record.
Yeah, some Japanese record that he's got to go for now or something. Anyway, enough about that. Last thing I wanted to say, the Storm Chasers are back. Did I see this correctly?
Yeah, they are at NC State Duke as this was released yesterday.
So
they'll be at a different spot every day or every other day this week.
NC State Duke is tonight being Monday night.
Being last night, yes.
Being last night for the people listening. So, yeah, what's the...
They have a staggering... This is the 5th year of the Storm Chasers. They've stormed every year. I believe they've stormed multiple times, multiple years. A staggering success rate.
Yeah.
Considering what they're trying to accomplish. Last year they stormed, I believe, at TCU. They would have stormed at Arkansas, but they were kicked off campus.
And then they flew to Colorado.
And then they got Colorado. In 2020, they stormed at Rutgers against Maryland right before COVID hit. They got arrested trying to storm at UConn in 2020 as well. I think they stormed at TCU twice.
It's
Indiana they stormed at, which was like the first year, which was a big deal because there's barely ever been storms at Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah, Indiana has like they stormed against Kentucky on the Christian Watford shot, and everyone laughed at them because they're like, you're supposed to be better than that. They've stormed a handful of times since then, but yeah, it's not because Indiana has the worst combination of like they stink, but also they're blue blood. So
right.
Like they're not going to win the games. I don't know. They still win at Assembly Hall. Assembly Hall's still good, but like, yeah, that's incredible. They do have an incredible success rate because I trust that they're going to figure it out because I'm looking at the schedule right now. Do you know where they're going tomorrow?
I could tell you. I don't think
they don't want to release it yet.
Right.
Yeah. Because I am trying to forecast, pun intended, I guess, where they should go, and I don't see like it's kind of difficult to try to guess where is a place that is good. They're good enough to pull off the upset, but also they're not so good that like they're not going to storm. You know, like that's obviously the thought process that goes into it, and I don't know. It'll be an interesting week because I don't know how many obvious. I'm looking at the schedule right now. I don't know how many obvious. Like, do you go to UCF for the Houston at UCF game on Wednesday? Maybe. UCF's pulled off some upsets already this year, but I don't know. Keep your eye on that, folks, because I do love the content that they put out every year. It is Glenny Balls, it is Tommy Smokes, it is Za, and it is, for the first time ever, Nikki Smokes, correct?
Correct.
Who's going to get arrested for stuff that has nothing to do with the court storming.
Yeah, just in general.
He's just going to, in general, get arrested for being on college campuses and being up to no good. So that'll be fun to watch as well. All right, thank you to Big T for spouting his Tennessee propaganda on the show today. Thank you to everybody watching, listening. I think I'm gonna do that for Friday. I'm gonna put together my All-American list and Conference Player of the Years and all that because the Big East is pretty interesting. I think I don't know. There's a lot to think of. Like Caleb Love, I think might be on my first team All-American team. I don't know. I was thinking about that the other day. I should probably wait until the season's all the way over, but to be completely honest, I don't know how much one game's going to change anyway. And also, I don't really have a vote. I have a vote on the Wooden Award. I'm going to vote for Zach Edey. I hate myself for it. I would love to vote for Dalton Knecht. I just can't deny Edey's dominance. So I'm probably just going to vote for Zach Edey and leave it at that. But yeah, I don't vote for any of these other conference players here, so fuck it. I'm going to do it early. I think we'll do that on Friday. Enjoy the week, everybody. We'll see you on Friday.